Flint, New York.
Oh, no!
Hello and welcome to this special Cannes in Focus edition of Talking Movies. In this program, we'll be bringing you some of the highlights from this year's Cannes Film Festival. Before we get underway with the show proper though, we want to give you a bit of a beginner's guide to the lie of the land here. The focal point of the festival is the Palais. That's where all the red carpet events and main festival screenings take place. I'm standing here in the daytime. At night, it's much more glamorous. Then there are the national pavilions, usually funded by government-sponsored film bodies. The British Pavilion was welcoming. What goes on inside these structures? Quite a lot, most of it about film. Then there's the press centre, journalists from around the world doing research, filing stories.
When I come to the media center, I write my articles for my newspaper, reviews, and try to give also some color about the festival.
Are you enjoying it?
I try to enjoy it.
Then there are the hotels. The fans are kept at bay, the portals heavily patrolled. Industry players come to do their business. Journalists interview the stars and directors. And then there's the Croisette. That's the key artery serving all the different festival locales. It's a walkway where you can meet all kinds of different people. Throughout the program, we'll be bringing you a sample of some of the individuals who've made it their business to be at the Cannes Film Festival this year.
I'm Ali Jafar, I work for Variety.
My name is Rose Ganguza. I'm a producer from New York.
We have a daily newspaper that we put out at Cannes.
I'm here both as a producer and a mom. My son's film, After School, is in competition.
I am a cinephile.
And I hope next year to come again.
As is nearly always the case, Hollywood came to Cannes and some would say hijacked the festival for its own promotional purposes. For many people around the world, the perception this year was that Cannes was all about Indiana Jones. Millions and millions of dollars have been spent promoting the fourth installment of Indiana Jones. Cannes was the launching pad.
In terms of awareness, it's unrivaled because you have the world's media here, there's the red carpet, there's so much kind of glitz and glamour surrounding Cannes. It's going to make a good few hundred million worldwide.
Guarded by the living dead.
The much-loved globe-trotting, swashbuckling archaeologist Indiana Jones was last seen 19 years ago in the third installment of the franchise. This new adventure is set in a different period.
Well, I was very pleased that we made the decision to move forward in time and to revisit a later period in history, which is also very interesting, which is the period of the Cold War, 1957, and the era of McCarthyism in the United States. A period of time in our history which I think is something we should be mindful of and has some resonance in the present.
As critics and film journalists swarmed out of the press screening in the picture's first major unveiling, there were quips of delight for the most part. What did you think of the film?
I like it very much. It's so fun. It's unbelievably fun.
What did you think of the film?
A strange mix of James Bond, X-File, Mummy, I think.
Very amusing, but she's a fan of that.
What did you think of it?
It's very funny. It's Indy Jones, you know?
Indiana Jones is good Hollywood cinema, backed by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, two of the most pivotal figures in the American movie establishment. Their film is entertaining, well done. Technique and storytelling are deliberately old school.
We will do this old-fashioned way.
It is, though, a film that's stuck in its past, playing it safe. On the Croisette, Indiana Jones could be seen as a symbol of Hollywood's marketing might. Its global dominance, which one star in Cannes views as a commercial and cultural force suffocating cinema in other countries.
How has that life been crushed by the dominance of this uniculture of a film that costs $100 million to make, needing $40 million for P&A, and then transporting the movie all over the world. It takes up every screen in the U.S. and it takes up all the screens in Europe and beyond.
But people want to see Indiana Jones.
Well, people want to see Indiana Jones. There should be a place that people see Indiana Jones, but they also should be a place where they can see also their own work, their own internal work, you know, so their own national cinema. There should be a place. But what Indiana Jones and the other big movies have done is virtually killed, and there's no doubt about it. It happens every day.
Hollywood's mighty presence at Cannes this year, mainly in the form of Indiana Jones, didn't obliterate the more auteur US films at the festival. Some of America's most respected directors were here, among them Clint Eastwood, Steven Soderbergh and Woody Allen. Vicky Cristina Barcelona was the title of Woody Allen's film. Laden with brilliant acting talent, it tells the story of two young American women on holiday in Barcelona.
You know what my theory is, and when I drink, I get brutally frank.
And their entanglements with a seducer played by Javier Bardem, who has an on-again, off-again, intense relationship with his ex-wife portrayed by Penelope Cruz.
Do you have such a low opinion of yourself?
You're just saying that it has to have meaning for her, that's all.
But the focus is on the two Americans at the center of the story, played by Scarlett Johansson and British actress Rebecca Hall.
If I were the type of person that played around, I don't think it's in the cards for us.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona is a Mediterranean divertissement, accessible, well-written. With a commercial sheen to it, the film was seen as a success. You know, a lot of people are talking about this film in terms of it having better commercial prospects than his recent films. Now, why do you think this one is more commercially accessible?
He's dealing with something that's romantic and poignant and comedic, and those are the sort of traits that people adore about Woody Allen films. And, you know, for a while, he hasn't really gone there. There's something nostalgic about it almost, that he's going back to that very sort of bittersweet kind of romantic comedy.
My name's Laura, I'm from Australia. We're here on holidays, came to the Cannes Film Festival. Really hoping to see a movie, but apparently you need passes to get into such a festival, so no stars for us.
I want to stay out here. I want to see my kids grow. I want to be a better person in life. I don't like the person who I become.
Mike Tyson was in Cannes with a film leading the way in his path to redemption. This former world heavyweight boxing champion is a complicated hero who fell from grace, a prize fighter convicted of rape and, among other things, known for biting off part of an opponent's ear. Now he's telling his own story in a documentary in which a trusted collaborator, director James Toback, who'd cast him in 2 previous films, sat him down in front of a camera and just let him speak.
I'm an insane individual. I put all those drugs in my system. I do not want to do that any longer. And I just want to be a decent human being, which I know I can be.
You've done many terrible things in your life. Some people might view this film as a way of you rewriting history, making you look better perhaps than you are.
I don't know. I just got in there and I just told the truth. That's up to them. They have their own opinion to make up after that.
I think Mike, in the movie, comes across the way he is, which is really as a fundamentally very decent and deep and complex person.
I just want to see my kids get married and graduate from school.
My name is Charlotte. I'm here representing Hammer Films. And Cannes can be extremely hectic, extremely fun, and extremely confusing. And at this moment, I'm somewhere in between all the 3.
Latin America enjoyed a high profile at Cannes this year. 2 films from Argentina and 2 pictures from 2 well-respected Brazilian directors were among the high-profile offerings. One of those directors, Walter Salles, who made the critically acclaimed Central Station and The Motorcycle Diaries, was in Cannes with Line of Passage.
Hoje eu vou ficar só com 3, vou ficar com esse menino.
Made pretty much without professional actors, it's a story set in Sao Paulo of 4 brothers living with their pregnant mother, trying to move ahead without resorting to a life of crime. In a way, you're giving an image of a film from Latin America, of young people, that's a bit different from what we've seen in the past. There is the stereotypical view, isn't there, of guns and violence?
Somehow it happened that this is the road that was traveled by many filmmakers in Brazil, and to show the gang stories and interpreted as the story of a country. The gang stories in Brazil is a segment of the reality of Brazil, but a small segment. The great segment is working people trying to make a living, and they're having a very hard time at doing so. And this is where we should point the cameras at.
Do you think it's a coincidence that there are quite a few Latin American films at the Cannes Film Festival this year?
No, it's not. I think that first, the canvas on which we can grab stories is very rich. Our reality changes every 2 days. You know, we're a young country still in construction. And on the other hand, as Daniela always points out, I mean, we're the first generation of filmmakers who can talk freely after many years of military dictatorship. So there's this urge, this desire to talk about who we are, where we come from, where we're going to, and we have the possibility to do so.
Coming up on Talking Movies, more from the Cannes Film Festival.
I'm the actor Simon Pegg, and I'm here in the Cannes Film Festival promoting my forthcoming film, How to Lose Friends and Alienate People.
Was once again much moaning that the UK had failed to win a slot in the official competition. But outside that revered showcase there was, when it came to Britain, plenty of action.
Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. This year's tournament has begun.
It's an action thriller starring Robert Carlyle and Ving Rhames, set in the unlikely locale of Middlesbrough in Britain's northeast. It's called The Tournament. It's partly the product of deal-making at previous Cannes film festivals. It's a picture that says, thank you very much, British film funders, for not taking any interest in our film, but we'll go ahead and make it anyway.
But it wasn't seen as British material, and all these people turned us down. 40 assassins killing each other, that's not British. And we felt there was a real snobbery towards it, and it took Americans to invest in it. But we went to everybody in Britain and they all turned it down.
British filmmakers of all kinds were at Cannes. Anna Higgs and Gavin Humphreys were at the festival to find more funding for a horror film. Clearly, getting pictures made in Britain requires enterprise and determination.
Finance schemes keep changing. It's very hard to sort of stay ahead of the game from that perspective. But if you could try and be quite innovative about your approach and how you business plan something, then there are some really interesting opportunities.
Yeah, and there are new ways of being in control of your film and distribution through the internet, and also you can work more in television so to earn money to keep yourself going in films.
One of the most talked about British films at Cannes was Hunger. It could be categorised as British social realism through the eye of an artist. It's a portrayal of IRA hunger striker Bobby Sands, who starved himself to death in 1981 at the Maze prison in Northern Ireland. The aim of his protest was to gain political status for IRA prisoners. Sands was up against a formidable force, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher.
There is no such thing as political murder, political bombing or political violence. There is only criminal murder, criminal bombing and criminal violence.
Bobby Sands is portrayed by up-and-coming actor Michael Fassbender. For him, the film is the story of a man who used his body to achieve political ends. Fassbender's approach wasn't to impersonate.
I wasn't going to set out to be Bobby Sands, you know. It's not like I'm going to go and be this person to the T. I didn't want to ever do that. I just wanted to get an essence, a feel, and then bring my own sort of personality and take to it.
Hunger's director, Steve McQueen, has taken on a polarising figure. While some see Bobby Sands as heroic, others view him as a man of violence, a terrorist. But there are people who will watch the film and say, what you've done is glorified Bobby Sands.
I mean, the fact of the matter, if I had Bobby Sands on a bicycle sort of going past frame into the shot, they would call that film heroicizing Bobby Sands. There's nothing I could do about that. Once you project an image of a person and you call him Bobby Sands on 35mm, even if he's on screen for a fleeting moment, I will be heroicizing him.
Hunger strike failed. We're on the front line.
Steve McQueen is a winner of the Turner Prize. His filmmaking is visually adventurous. In Hunger, there's an 18-minute section made up of just one take. It's a scene with just two characters, Bobby Sands and a priest played by Liam Cunningham.
You know, I knew from day one that had to be one take, because up until that point, we're 40 minutes into the movie and there's not hardly been any dialogue at all. And I knew at the beginning that it had to be sort of a bit awkward at the beginning, a little bit testing each other out, feeling each other out, and then from there building on to, you know, getting to trust, getting some personal stories of each other, and then getting into this conversation. For me, it was almost like a philosophical chess game in a way, with you know, about life and death.
Moving away from social realism at Cannes, you could find British actor Simon Pegg with journalist Toby Young promoting a more mainstream film with an eye on the American market, How to Lose Friends and Alienate People, an adaptation of Young's memoir of trying to make it in the world of American celebrity journalism in the mid-1990s. Toby Young wrote his book in the 1990s, and many people think that it really did capture the zeitgeist. So isn't the film perhaps going to be a bit dated?
I don't know. I think not really, because the obsession with that side of things has just increased, even since then, has increased incredibly. This sort of, this preoccupation with the notion of celebrity has become more and more, you know, intense and sort of, and given more and more column inches, and it's almost more relevant now. I think Toby was writing his book at perhaps at the beginning of this period of celebrity mania, and here we are right in the heart of the fire. So, you know, I think it's actually a pretty timely piece, really.
My name is Brad Jalil. I'm at Cannes Film Festival, promoting my beauty products, also looking to invest into movies.
Last year, an inventive animation called Persepolis, which told the story of the Islamic Revolution through the eyes of a young Iranian girl, was launched at Cannes, and it went on to win the jury prize and earn an Oscar nomination. This year, there was another equally audacious animated film that set the place abuzz. The animation is the work of Tel Aviv filmmaker Ari Folman. It's an attempt to find out what happened to him as a young Israeli soldier, what trauma he experienced during the Israeli invasion of Beirut in 1982, when Palestinian refugees were massacred at the Sabra and Shatila camps.
The story of the film is about a guy who happens to be me, who was once a soldier in the First Lebanon War, and he completely eliminated from his past and his memory 3 missing days from the Lebanon War in Beirut, while this massacre in Sabra and Shatila took place.
What he witnessed was harrowing. It's understandable why he'd want to eliminate it from his mind. The film is an investigation that includes interviews with his former soldier comrades, put together with rock music and striking unexpected visuals. The animation has a pop culture feel to it. That was deliberate, obviously, on your part. Why did you want to do that?
It was rather for me doing it in animation and really in drawings, or not doing it at all, because I couldn't figure out any other way to tell this specific story. If you look at all the fragments that you have in the story, you've got memory, lost memory, hallucinations, subconscious, conscious, war, drugs, lost love, death. How would you deal with so many complex issues? You need new format for me, because I mean the traditional formats were not enough for me to tell the story.
This is not a love song.
There's one scene in the film that I found particularly interesting, and it's got a kind of surreal quality to it, and that's when the character is back, I think, in a city environment, and there's this strange world with a punk rock singer and other interesting characters. What was going on there?
Well, the scene is all there just to put in proportion the disconnection between the people in the front and the people who are at home. And if you come to look at it in an ideological manner, like of government official, the people up front are there to save the people back home, but the people back home just don't mind at all, because the war is so far away, it has nothing to do with them. And it's a really universal saying, because it could be in Iraq.
Is there an aim with your film to actually educate people? You mentioned young people, to educate young people about what happened in 1982 with the Israeli invasion of Lebanon.
No, I don't think I can educate anyone. It's too late for me. But it is a way of like putting an anti-war statement for young people and telling them that, you know, a lot of anti-war movies for young people, teenagers, when they watch them, they make misjudgment for them. And they say, yes, war is terrible, war sucks, okay? But it has glam in it, it has glory, it's all about friendship of man, it's all about bravery, and I want to take part of it. I mean, when you're 16, you can think of it. And I hope when people will come and see Waltz with Bashir, young people, they go out, they walk out of the cinema and will say, I don't want to have anything to do with wars whatsoever. It has nothing to do with my life. So in that manner, I hope this film might make it, you know?
Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982 is known to most as an event told in broad strokes through journalistic observation. Holman's film provides a different connection, one that's completely novel, using animation that's both bold and original. Well, that's all from this special Cannes in Focus edition of Talking Movies. Please remember you can always reach us online at our website at bbcworld.com/Talking Movies. So we're going to leave you with some of the sounds and sights of the Cannes Film Festival 2008.
Don't touch anything.